Latest football news,
engaging debates,
and fascinating opinions.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio, Fridays at 5 p.m. And today is the 15th of January 2021. It is me, George, as always. And this week, well, I don't think I need to give him really an introduction because, not to be rude, I've ran out of words that I can use. And I feel like I could just copy and paste one from last week because, you know, what's going on in football at the moment. But it is Dan. Dan, how are you doing apart from football, which we will get on to a little bit later on about Ipswich Town? How are you doing?
I'm not doing too bad. You know, still in lockdown here, so not really doing much, but I'm feeling all right.
He's feeling all right. That is the main thing. Positive vibes all the way. We'll just we'll talk about that negative thing later on the show. But before we get on to that, the social media is Twitter at Pitchside Talk, Instagram Talk_Pitch, YouTube, Mixcloud, both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of our previous shows, and also follow our Twitter because we're doing match previews for every Premier League game this season and every Ipswich Town game this season. Yes, you heard me right. That's quite a lot of games, and it's kind of like we're already halfway through. I think doing the games this season, it's already bonkers how quickly the season's gone.
Yeah, it is, and the fact that games are so like, you know, there's loads of midweek games now, especially going into 2021. There's going to be lots of previews to do.
I feel like it's going to be like that meme where it's like football.
Yeah,
I feel like that already. But what we've got coming in the show today, where we're talking about Ipswich Town, their first game of 2021. It didn't go too well for them. We're going to talk about the FA Cup third round. Yes, we had the third round of the FA Cup, and we'll be talking about the fourth and the fifth round draws for the FA Cup. We've got some interesting ties and some big teams meeting. Yes, we've got some big teams meeting. But when we come back, we're going to be talking about Ipswich Town and what happened on Saturday.
Stay up to date with the latest footy news.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Well, welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio, Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George and Dan, as always. And before we move on to what's coming up in the show next, we better mention social medias, Twitter at Pitchside Talk, Instagram Talk_Pitch, YouTube and Mixcloud both at Pitchside Talk. Now, Dan, we've got a big elephant in the room at the moment. It's Ipswich Town. I think it's the only way I can sort of describe it at the moment. First game of 2021. Returned to the pitch after 25 days away from it, and it started on the wrong foot for Town, a 3-2 defeat to relegation battle Swindon Town. Lambert's squad begins the new year with a loss. Dan, I don't really know what to say, really. It feels like the same old story. It feels like 2020 on a loop, really, with Ipswich Town performances we're seeing. It's just, I don't know what to sort of say. I've run out of words. Can you describe it for me?
It's hard to describe, isn't it? You know, it's the same story as you said, and I think this one hurts more because it's not against the top side, is it? We've had this thing over the past 2 seasons where we can't beat teams around us in the top 10, and we can somehow scrape wins against teams down the bottom. But this is a team that are second bottom, that are in, you know, poor run of form. They recently changed their manager. They did make some new signings in January, but you know that sometimes, you know, has an effect on the squad that goes in a bad way. But it didn't for them, and it's just we were just so poor. We didn't show anything really, and it's the same every game. We pass the ball around, and teams are just able to play against us. You know, they just let us play, and we say the same things every week, and it still doesn't change, and that is down to the manager and his tactics, isn't it? You know, it's so obvious that we need to change system and we need to change formation, even if it is, you know, during the game. You know, we can see that it's not working during the game. You know, I don't like us starting with this system and this formation, but if it's not working during the game, you know, we're 3-1 down against Swindon. We're still there trying to play one up front with Jackson on the wing. It's ridiculous how we can't change the system. You know, that's how you win games. And it's so easy for teams to play against us because they know how we're going to play. We're just going to pass around the back and then they can get us on the counter because our defence is shocking at the moment. So it's just depressing. It's same story again, as you said, and to lose against Swindon, it's just I just don't have words for it really, and especially as we've got tough games coming up against Peterborough and Sunderland as well. So don't know where it's going to go from here.
No, I don't think anybody does now. It's sort of the saga that continues. But, first game in 25 days, key players out injured still, 8 positive tests over the Christmas period. But there's sort of no excuses really here. Another loss, that's now 7 in 19 compared to last season, which I know was a bit different compared to this season, but 2 losses in 19 from there. Quite a fall from grace. And in the last 6 games from the 28th of November to the 9th of January, 7 points. That is sort of unacceptable, really, because they're trying to be in this promotion race, and I know they're 1 point off 6th, but the situation with performances are just getting more bleak. And when a side like Swindon comes to town, who have before they played Ipswich, they had 1 point in their last 18 available, 4 points away from home a whole season before playing Ipswich Town. This is a side they should be easily beating on paper. That Swindon shouldn't be in contention of even scoring. But it was just let them come and play, and they just won. And it's now sort of getting to, why has this been allowed to happen?
Yeah, it's quite embarrassing that that Swindon have been on such a bad run of form, and we've got the players, I think, that should easily be beating a team like that, team down the bottom that are struggling on form, but we're not showing the quality that we have. I think we showed signs of it. I think when Norwood came on, he made a difference. I know afterwards, after he scored that goal, which I have to say was a little bit lucky, but after that, we conceded an absolute worldie. It's probably the best goal I've ever seen at Portman Road. And I wasn't even there. But yeah, so can't really complain about that. Although maybe the closing down wasn't fast enough, but it's still not good enough. We just, in the first half, we're playing Drilling up front, who, he's come back from injury. He had he performed decent in the first few games without scoring. His hold-up play was pretty good. But I think it gets to a point where if strikers don't score goals, their morale starts to drop and their performances start to drop. And I think that's what's happening with Drinnan. We're seeing it with Hawkins as well. He started off okay. His performances dropped. And with Drinnan at the weekend, it just wasn't good. And I'm not surprised it came off at half-time. Judge played all right, which is quite weird for me to say, but that really says it all. How bad Judge has been this year. He was our best player, but it's just so frustrating for me watching every single week, knowing how we're going to play, and that's what frustrates me, because teams play against us and know how we're going to play. It's so obvious, and all we have to do is have a change formation, change the system, and that problem's gone. It's quite alarming how quickly we've, fallen. It happened last year, and it's happening again this year, and it's so worrying to see it happening. And who knows what's going to happen the rest of this season? Lambert's not going, so where are we going to finish? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Where it's just going to finish. Last season was 11th place through the points per game sort of system, but it's getting the same old. And somebody who was frustrated in his post-match interview was Luke Walsden, the young centre-back who hasn't got, I would say, a great relationship with Lambert. We sort of saw that at the start of the season, wasn't playing, and Lambert said he needs to be doing better than start playing, but everybody's saying he's our top centre-back. But he was frustrated because he's sort of saying that we should be doing better. Like, it's unacceptable. We train hard and we know the system, and then we go into play it and we're not playing it. And he's sort of quite frustrated that he's pushing and nobody else is pushing with him. And then the manager on the sidelines are shouting push and nobody's still pushing. But is this side struggling with this playing style? Because it's not working. It's simple. It's not working. I don't think it's been working oh my God, since probably Doncaster, it's not been working that well. And Luke Walton's facial expressions showed that he's quite frustrated. He's angry. And I think time and time again, these tactics are not working and they need to be sorted out sooner rather than later because it could get even more dire than this.
Yeah, it could. And yeah, you could see that he was absolutely fuming in that interview. You could see the emotion on his face. And I do feel sorry for him a little bit. He hasn't been treated very well, start of the season. He's maybe hasn't been performing to his best this year, but none of our players have. But he was kind of singled out, really, weren't he? Or at least the youngsters were a little bit by Lambert at the start of the year. He was our best centre back. He should be starting every week. So the things that he said, I understand that the relationship between him and Lambert has deteriorated because that's the way that Lambert has treated him. That's the thing that will happen. But yeah, I think he knows. You can tell that he knows that the system isn't working, and you can tell that how super frustrated he is at the way we're playing. That doesn't excuse the fact that he hasn't been performing very well. Still, I know all the players aren't, as I said, but he's still. Our defense has been poor this year, and I'm not going to, say that he's been performing well because he hasn't. I think it's obvious to everyone that this system isn't working, and I think it's Paul Lambert's stubbornness. His absolute stubbornness. He's completely changed his way of thinking, hasn't he? Because last year it was all about change, but this year he just absolutely refuses to do it, and I don't understand why. It's so obvious to everyone that it's not working, except him and Marcus Evans. With the way we're playing, we're not going anywhere, and that's why we need a manager change, because he is so stubborn and so arrogant that he will not change his system. And as long as we're playing one up front, which, well, he will probably say it's free, but it's not, it's one. As long as we're playing that, we're not going anywhere. We need someone in who can, get the best out of our players and not just think that everything's fine when it isn't. Because that's the feeling I get from Lambert and the owner as well. They just seem to think that everything is going okay. Sitting 8th in League One, not looking like we're going to get anywhere, and losing to teams in the bottom 4. And then that's okay, apparently, according to our owner and manager. So, yeah, we can say it till we're red in the face that this system isn't working, but is it going to change? No. The only way it's going to change is if Marcus Evans has a real think about where this club is going in for the future. Because as long as we have Lambert in charge, we're not going anywhere, and he'll keep with this system, and it will keep not working, and the fans will keep getting frustrated. It's just a cycle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit. Well, this game caused a lot more anger in the fan base on Twitter with the performance and Lambert's time at the club, and also there was quite a lot more. It became very toxic on Wednesday night with sort of the journalists and the local media not reporting about Lambert out and not having an opinion on it, and all this sort of absolute rubbish. I have to sort of say, I feel sorry for them because they're trying to report on a biased sort of basis, and people are trying to force them to get an opinion out of him, and I think it's just not nice. But the calls are coming louder and louder now about Lambert's time in Ipswich Town, about him leaving the club, and according to Football Insights, apparently Lambert is facing a dressing room mutiny at the moment, with some players turning on him, and Ipswich weighing up the decision to depart with Lambert this month. But on Wednesday, Marcus Evans came out again and backed Paul Lambert. So it feels like we're getting very much mixed reports here. It's sort of what do you believe here? But it's just getting a bit ridiculous now, and a little bit of a joke really here, because the fans are turning on the club, they're turning on the journalists, they're turning on the players, they're turning on the manager. It's something's not right here. Like I just don't know what can be done to fix this now. I feel like this has gone way too far.
Yeah, and the situation, our club is an absolute joke at the moment, isn't it? It's an embarrassment at the moment. The way the club are treating us, it's just embarrassing for me. I first of all with the whole media thing, look, I understand why fans are frustrated. We can't be there. We can't put our voices across. And I think that's the only way that the fans feel like they can put their voice forward. But I think we really need to focus on what's the actual problem with the club is. And it's not the media. They're there reporting on, our fans say that they should be asking harder questions because, that's, as I said, that's the only way they can put voices forward. But we need to be concentrating on what's the problem, which is the manager and the owner. And using the media, I think, is a little bit of a scapegoat. I don't want to... Look, I know there's been a whole thing on Twitter on Wednesday. There's been arguments. There's certain people talking about how people who aren't trying to get more out of the media are happy clappers, I think they're calling them. But I think sometimes you go a bit too far. People go a bit too far, and to blame the media, there's a lot more problems at Ipswich at the moment than that. And the Football Insider thing, yeah, you said it. It seems like we're getting mixed views because they say the players aren't happy, the senior players aren't happy. I haven't seen anything from our senior players, the Luke Chambers and Stephen Ward, Alan Judge. Where is their leadership at the moment? We have no leadership on the pitch whatsoever. Chambers, what's happened to him? He used to be a player whose voice could be heard everywhere. Every single game, you heard his voice and the passion. And every time we conceded a goal, he'd, kind of clap the players and say, come on, we can get back into this. There's none of that anymore. I don't know what's happened. I don't know whether his morale's gone down or what, but he's not the same as he used to be. I really don't understand what's going on with him. Maybe it's just because he's not performing well, or maybe he knows we're not going anywhere with this manager. And if he's lost the dressing room, then if them reports are true, then surely it's not going to be long till he goes. But then, as you said on Wednesday, Marcus Evans comes out and backs him again, which we've said this so many times, but if this was any other club in the country, he would have been gone ages ago. He probably would have been gone in the summer because, Paul Hurst was sacked, rightly in my opinion, and then he come in and the results didn't change. And we got relegated. Fair enough, he got that season because, a lot of fans say that we were relegated before he came in the Championship. But he had the whole of that summer, all of pre-season, and all of that season in League One, the first season, and he can only finish 11th. I mean, that is poor by our standards because we went into that league with a squad that should have got promoted, in my opinion. I know we've kind of got the same squad now, but anyway, we should have got promoted that year, and the way we dropped off was just not good enough. So I think that any other team would have sacked him in the summer, but there's such a distance between the way that the club thinks things are going and the fans, and the fact that the fans aren't there. It's so frustrating to us that we can't put across how we feel, because I think if the fans are in the ground, then Marcus Evans would maybe be forced to make a decision on him. But yeah, as long as we're with Lambert, we're not gonna go anywhere, as I said before. And I just think that the fans now need to focus on putting our point across, not by blaming the media, but I think actually I said something on Twitter, didn't I? That Carl Fuller, he's an Ipswich fan who works with the East Anglian Daily Times. He put the front on the front of the East Anglian the other day. It actually said, I can't remember what it said now. It said something like,
Oh, I remember.
the club is dying or something like that.
It said it's going backwards.
Yeah, it's going backwards. So it isn't like they're being positive about it. Andy Warren and Stuart Watson, they're really good at what they do. And Stuart Watson posted, he's said things like, it's not good enough and things like that before. So I don't think they were being super positive about it. It's just the fans' frustrations are getting more and more, and it's coming out more now. And I think it's got to a boiling point, and it's not looking good. You know, the fans are toxic. We're 8th in League One, not looking like we're going anywhere. It's just a depressing time to support Ipswich at the moment.
Yeah, it's not a great time, and it's sort of sad to see, really, because there was a point where you would not win a game in the Championship, and you go, "Oh, that's fine." There's no pressure on the manager, and now if you lose a game, it's so much pressure, and it is hitting the boiling point. I think it's over the boiling point now. I think it's really hit that point, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I think if we if what happened in the world didn't happen in March, May could have been the point where you're gone. We will never know now. It's sort of, we only can sort of I think it's theorize, or how you say it. I can't say. I'm very bad at English sometimes. But you can sort of imagine what could have happened, but we will never know now. And we're now in the situation, and unfortunately, I think he's there for the long run. Well, Ipswich are back on the road once again, playing rock bottom Burton Albion this week, and that is Ipswich's last win in League One so far against Burton Albion. But Burton Albion, since playing Ipswich, they lost 4 in a row, but they did beat Gillingham 1-0 last time out. So Dan, can Ipswich bounce back, get their first win of 2021, put this behind them, put in a solid performance, get back into this promotion race of some sorts, or Burton just cause another upset like Swindon did, and just sort of show that there is a lot of problems at Ipswich Town again?
Yeah, you look at that game and think we'd win it. We should win it, and we should. Burton are not doing well in the league, so I think that it's a game that we should win. But I'm just not looking forward to it. There was a time where I loved the weekend when Ipswich were going to play, whether it be home and away. But now it seems like a chore at the moment, doesn't it? That Ipswich are playing at the weekend. We're going to have to go through it again. But for me, I can see a 0-0 happening. I really can. The way we're performing at the moment, it gives me no hope. And we're gonna line up the exact same way. We're gonna perform in the exact same way as we do every single week. I'm gonna go for a 0-0. I really hope that we can get a result there, because we've got such tough games coming up against Sunderland and Peterborough. They're the most predictable games, I think. They are so predictable, them games against Peterborough and Sunderland. It's unbelievable. But yeah, I really hope we can get a win, but I'm just not confident. I'm going to go for a 0-0.
Well, then, Dan's going for a 0-0 for Burton, versus Ipswich Town. What are you going to go for? Let us know on Pitch Talk at Twitter. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about something a bit more upbeat. The FA Cup. The FA Cup, yes, the magic of the cup is still well and truly alive. And we'll have to see what happens right after this.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello, and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio. It's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George and Dan, as always. And before we move on into the show, we better mention our social medias: Twitter at Pitchside Talk, Instagram Talk_Pitch, YouTube and Mixcloud, both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of our previous shows, or even this one, this will be up at 6 p.m. on Friday. If you missed what we mentioned about in our Ipswich Town chat, quite negative stuff, but we're going to move on to something positive, Dan. We're going to have something that's going to make us feel good about football again. The FA Cup, that always brings some magic, and we love it, because this week was the third round week, with 64 teams in action from the Premier League down to the Northern Premier League Division 1 Northwest. Yes, I've got that right. All competing in the FA Cup, which produces some massive upsets. And starting off with Chorley from National League North, which is the 6th tier of English football. They booked a place into the 4th round after seeing off Derby County 2-0. What a moment for them, Chorley. I know it wasn't Derby's first team because they're all in self-isolation, but for Chorley, it's such a magical moment here, because for manager James Verdugo, I think I say his name, it's a fantastic end to a challenging week for him, as his day job is actually a head teacher. And we know with what's going on at the moment with lockdowns and that, schools are closed, and it's sort of quite a lot of pressure on schools to teach people at home now. But for him, a fantastic end to the week, booking a place into the 4th round. He said it was unbelievable. And Dan, the magic of the cup is still alive. I love it.
Yeah, I know. What a achievement that is for them. I know Derby only played there. What was it, like under 23s and stuff like that? But yeah, 18s. It's the first time I've watched a game where both managers saying that they're the underdogs. I've never even known that to happen before, which was quite mad. But yeah, it's a massive achievement, and to get into the fourth round, is huge for them. And a club like that, who are obviously struggling. There's a lot of clubs out there that are struggling, and to get that far on the FA Cup, the money that's involved in that will be a massive help to them. And I love to see an underdog story, and to see non-league clubs in the fourth round is brilliant. And I really hope they, do well in the fourth round. They got a tough tie, but I really hope they can go and do their best and try and get a result. I don't expect them to do that, but it's brilliant to see them there.
Well, I expect them to, because I love it when an underdog faces a big team in the next round. We won't spill who just yet, but I just love it because you're on their side. You're like, come on, do it. And I love seeing new teams in the FA Cup, and these stories sort of show why football is so loved, and the FA Cup is still. I know people sort of say it's some teams disrespect that, but some teams don't, and when they don't, they do well. And a team that, well, I don't know if they disrespected it. I'm not really too sure. In Leeds, they sort of didn't have a great time. They lost to Crawley Town, who outbeat them. They outbeat high scoring Leeds 3-0, delivering probably, I think, the biggest upset. I think we can sort of say in this is the FA Cup. They tore apart the other side. 62 places separated the two sides in league, but for Crawley, they beat the big guns, and I think aside that, I think if we thought about it well and hard, they could have won the FA Cup this season. Leeds, the way they play, and Bielsa, he likes the FA Cup. I think he sort of said he understands the sort of the history behind it, and he wants to do well on it, but he was just torn apart.
Yeah, I know. That was such a massive surprise, wasn't it? You get sometimes where the big managers, they don't really understand what the FA Cup's all about, and I don't like that. There's magic to the FA Cup, and everyone loves to get far in it, especially if you're low down the leagues. So yeah, I like that Bielsa kind of understands the history behind it. But it was a massive surprise to see Leeds lose 3-0 to Crawley. They were playing some of their first team players as well, weren't they? I think Rodrigo was playing. Calvin Phillips was playing. Was Pablo Hernandez as well? I think he just come back from injury.
Yeah, Alioski was on at one point.
Alioski.
I think Leon Cooper was on, was he? No, Leon Cooper wasn't on. I think Striniard was playing at some point.
Okay, yeah. So there's some big players in there. So I think that's mad. That they come out against Crawley, who, to be fair to them, they're doing well in League Two at the moment. I think they're in the playoffs at the moment. They got I've seen some of the interviews from their manager. They got a no-nonsense manager. I can't remember his name, but
oh yes,
yeah. I don't know if you've seen that interview.
I have seen that interview.
Yeah. But that's a massive result for them. Huge, and that'll definitely give them confidence going into the fourth round with who they're playing, which I guess we'll mention soon. But yeah, massive result for them. But for Leeds, I think their fans would be embarrassed by that, to lose 3-0 to Crawley with such a players that they're putting out against them. So the squad that they put out was quite strong. So yeah.
And also for only way is Essex star to come on as well.
Yeah, I know. For his,
was it 3-minute debut, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know. That's mad.
I have to say, if that was me and I was at a club, I'd be like, yeah, give me a 3-minute debut in the FA Cup and I'll never play ever again for you. But,
yeah, I know.
That was a good moment. I just see a funny picture on the internet where Bielsa's probably doing the team talk, and he's having to talk about the only way is Essex to his players, who are the one that players on there. But
yeah,
I think one of sort of the biggest stories and the matches in the FA Cup history, I don't think this will ever happen again. 160 places separated these two teams on the football period. Yes, it is Marine, and they took on Spurs. And unfortunately, the fairy tale ended for Marine, a 5-0 defeat to Spurs. But for Marine, who nearly scored in the first, first goal of the game, they nearly caught Joe Hart off us. Whatever. I think if they scored, I think everybody in the gardens that on the back of the thing, I think they would have just pitch invaded. I wouldn't be surprised.
No.
But this game, it could be a massive lifesaver for the club, as they don't know when they'll be playing football again, as from 6 tiers below in English football, it has been suspended due to the new regulations and restrictions. And this could be their last game of the season. But Marine, this is why I love the Cup, and this is just a little story. I'm going to go on a little rant here, but they decided to sell virtual tickets as fans weren't allowed to come into the ground. So basically, the fans could buy a ticket for £10 to make up the lost revenue through the ticket sales and also support their club. And you would be automatically entered into a raffle draw. And this went global as 30,697 tickets were sold, including Jose Mourinho, who brought one, who's now entered the raffle. And Dan, this is the top prize. He could become the manager of Marine for one pre-season game. I don't know when this will be. I guess it may be possibly next season or in a few seasons' time, but that's just going to be crazy. I know it's not bad. I hope they rig this because I would love to see this happen. It'd be fantastic. But £80,000 in prize money for getting this far in the competition. I think they played 7 rounds. A few of them were the preliminary rounds. £75,000 in TV revenue money. Marine, this is a day in the sun. And it's so nice, but it's so sad at the same time that they don't know when they're going to be playing football again. And they don't know when this situation could ever happen to them again, playing against a Premier League side in the 3rd round of the FA Cup.
Yeah, I know. What a moment it was for them. It's such a shame that fans weren't allowed. Because imagine if fans were allowed into that game, it would have been so good to see. But yeah, what an achievement for them. When you think they go into the first I can never say that word. Never mind.
Qualifying rounds. We can't say it. We're just going to make up a new word for it. Qualifying rounds.
Whatever. But they go in at the earliest round possible, and they managed to get into the 3rd round. That is a massive achievement. And as you said, they won't be playing league football, especially until lockdown finishes. We don't know when that'll be. So it's going to have a massive effect. But the fact that they got to the 3rd round, this money will be massive for them. It'll really help them get through this period. And it's really good to see a team like that get through to the 3rd round, because it happens very rarely that a team that low down gets to the 3rd round. We've seen, National League teams and maybe National League North teams and North and South teams get into the 3rd round, but an 8th tier team, that is quite rare. And it's a fairy tale story for them. And I'm really happy that they made it. Unfortunately, they're out now, but they can keep their heads held high that they nearly scored the first goal against Tottenham. Gareth Bale played on their ground. Did anyone ever think that would happen? I don't think so. So yeah, I'm really happy for them.
Yeah, I think when people sort of say that the magic of the cup doesn't exist and all this, I think this is why it will show them this game here. And I know they lost 5-0, but this game here just shows you why we love the FA Cup and why the magic still exists, because you would never put these two sides together. This is the thing. This is such a mismatch, and it's probably the biggest ever mismatch we're ever going to have in the FA Cup, apart from if a Sunday League side somehow get there. That would be a miracle. Maybe I don't know who would be a good Sunday League side. I'm not too sure. Tweeters at Pitchside Talk will think so. The biggest mismatch ever, but this is just why we love it. And the FA Cup, I think it's one of the best cup competitions in this country, hands down. You can't knock it off there. But for Marine,
you can't. Brilliant
opportunity for them. And it's sad that they'll never know when they're going to play football again. I know they're talking about non and avoid already in the Northern Premier League. Northern Premier League Division 1 Northwest. They're talking about a non and avoid at the moment. So a little bit of a sad end to sort of a happy FA Cup. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about the FA Cup 4th and 5th round. Yes, I'm going to leave you hanging on the edge of your seats. We're going to talk about who's going to be playing in the 4th round, some mouth-watering ties, some big-size meeting, and we'll be looking forward to the 5th round ties, which we already know because they've done 2 draws in 1, which I think is a little bit sad, but that's the way we live at the moment.
The best place in Ipswich to hear the latest football debates, Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George, and Dan, as always. And before we move on into talking more about the FA Cup, the 4th and the 5th round fixtures, I better mention social medias: Twitter at Pitchside Talk, Instagram Talk_Pitch, YouTube and Mixcloud, both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of our previous shows, or even this one, if you missed us talking about the 3rd round of the FA Cup or Ipswich Town, they'll be up Fridays at 6 p.m. And now, Dan, on Monday, the draw was made for the 4th and the 5th round of the FA Cup, and we had some mouth-watering ties, especially in the 4th round. First v second in the Premier League. 12-time winners of the FA Cup and the 7 times winners of the FA Cup in Manchester United and Liverpool will meet. It's going to be quite crazy because these sides are going to be meeting twice in 1 week, which is kind of mad. Once at Anfield in the Premier League and once at Old Trafford in the FA Cup. But two big sides meeting, sort of the biggest tie we've had of the FA Cup already this season. What can we expect from this game, and who's going to go through to play West Ham or Doncaster at home? 2 big sides, big rivalry. I think usually it's called us versus them, as Liverpool fans describe it. But this is a big tie here still.
It is, to get this tie early on in the competition. I like it when these big ties get drawn in the early, the early rounds, because it gives chance for other teams then, doesn't it? It's a massive game. Obviously, it's first and second in the league, and playing each other on so close together as well. Both teams probably will be focusing on the league at the moment, but it's still going to be a massive game. And I think both teams want to get through to the next round. What can we expect? It's going to be hard to predict, I think. Is it the Premier League game that happens first?
Yes, the Premier League game happens this Sunday. And also this game won't go to a replay, it'll go to extra times and penalties.
No. So imagine that would be good if it goes to penalties. I'd like that. So yeah, I think it'll be easier to kind of predict after we've seen the game on Sunday, because I don't think we really know what's going to happen on Sunday. I know you're not too confident. You're a bit worried a little bit about it. But I think we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's really good to draw such a big tie. It always seems that Peter Crouch seems to draw the big ties, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I've had provisionally booked my tickets to Papua New Guinea. So if anything happens Sunday, I might be filming the show in a nice tropical environment, hopefully.
Are you even allowed to go there at the moment? Like, that's the
well, there's always a way. There's
Okay.
always a way to get there. I've got my ways.
Okay, cool.
Improvisation. Business trip. That's what I call a business trip. But
Yeah.
another side that has got a very interesting tie is Chorley. Yes, National League law. They have beaten 2 League One sides and a Championship side already in the FA Cup, and in the 4th round, they now will play Wolves, a Premier League tie. What a tie for them. And a shame there'll be no fans there, but they are going to run what we call the virtual tickets, like Marine have done as well, to make up for ticket loss for the fans not being there. But if they beat Wolves, Dan, right, in the 5th round, they could come up against, this is at home, Southampton/Shrewsbury or Arsenal. The holders Arsenal could be going to Chorley here. And if we look at the history here, Chorley, the last time they played Wolves, and it was in the FA Cup 86/87 season in the 1st round, Chorley beat them 3-0. So if we look at the stats here, Chorley should be through, shouldn't they? But this is an interesting tie, really, because it's like David versus Goliath here, if we sort of talk about it here.
Yeah, another really good tie in the FA Cup. It's really good to see. I don't think you can rule out Chorley, because we've seen it so many times that upsets can happen. remember Lincoln in their FA Cup run. They came up against Burnley, who I think were doing pretty well in the league at the time, if I remember rightly, and they beat them. And they're in the National League, so I don't think you can rule them out. It's going to be a massive ask to do that because they beat Derby, but it's not going to be Wolves under 18s this time, is it? It's going to probably be a few first team, players that have had first team game time, and some that are usually on the bench. So it's going to be difficult for them. I don't want to rule them out because that'd be a bit mean, I think, to just rule Chorley out. But it's going to be so hard for them to get through. I really hope they do, because imagine Chorley versus Arsenal at Chorley's ground. That'll be a great occasion. And as you said before, it's so unfortunate that the fans can't be there. But they're doing this great thing with virtual tickets that helps them as well. With in the money side of things. So a big achievement to get to the fourth round. A good tie against Wolves. Let's see how they can do.
Yes, let's see how they do. Well, let's actually have a look at the fifth round ties for the FA Cup. So we could possibly have Fulham / Burnley versus Bournemouth / Crawley Town, Manchester United / Liverpool versus West Ham / Doncaster, Sheffield United versus / Plymouth versus Millwall / Bristol City, Chorley / Wolves versus Southampton / Shrewsbury or Arsenal, Barnsley / Norwich versus Chelsea / Luton Town. Dan's favourite team is in there right there. Everton / Sheffield Wednesday / versus Wickham / Tottenham. Swansea City / Nottingham Forest versus Cheltenham Town / Man City. Yes, Man City have got another easy tie. Yes, I did say that correctly. And Brentford / Leicester versus Brighton / Blackpool. So yes, we've got some possible interesting ties coming up in the FA Cup fifth round tie. We'll have to wait and see. One of them I'm quite interested in is the Everton versus Spurs. If that happens, because both sides have been looking for silverware quite recently, and the FA Cup looks like it could be a brilliant opportunity for them. But we'll have to wait and see on that, because can't underestimate Wickham or Sheffield Wednesday. And when we come back, we're talking about a little bit of a football roundup. We've actually got some news this time. We've actually got some news to the football roundup, so stay tuned.
Pitchside Talk, footy debate from the Premier League Outback.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on iRadio. It's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George, and Dan. As always, Dan, it's time for football roundup, and you're going first for once. So you put your hand up. You're going to go first with your football news. What have you got for us?
Right, so I have got some Ipswich transfer news. It's January transfer window. No signings, unfortunately, but we've got some players linked with the club.
Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, can I ask?
Unfortunately not. Even them couldn't save us at this moment, I don't think. But anyway, obviously we're linked with Luke Thomas. We already knew that. That was like a few weeks ago. But we've got two new links. We've got Josh Harrop from Preston, attacking midfielder, kind of gone out of favour with Preston. And it looks like that might be on because Preston signed Ben Whiteman, midfielder from Doncaster, yesterday. So that could be on. And that'd be a decent signing, I think. And the second link is striker Kyle Lafferty, which I'm a little bit less excited about.
Kyle Lafferty?
Who is a free agent at the moment that could be added, as a striker. So let's see if that happens. That'll be interesting because I'm not his biggest fan. Obviously, he used to play for Norwich, but let's see.
Kyle Lafferty. I'm Will Keane again.
A bit desperate, aren't we? I think
just a little bit, but we'll gloss over that. And my football news is for you. Aston Villa's Premier League game against Everton on Sunday has been postponed due to the ongoing COVID outbreak at Villa's training ground. As we all know, they had a significant number of COVID cases, and the training ground hasn't opened again. But we do know this is, I think, as we know currently at this moment of time, touch wood, that they will be playing against Man City on Wednesday coming up. So we'll be talking about that game. And their game against Newcastle, which was postponed due to Newcastle having a COVID outbreak of their own, has now been rescheduled for the 23rd of January. So Villa are actually going to be playing two games in a short space amount of time after not being back for that long. Not really an ideal situation there for Villa, but unfortunately, we're in this sort of situation now where we've got to make games up because they've got a deadline to hit because we've got Euro 2021 coming up. Sorry, not Euro 2021, Euro 2020.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, we have got to get those games completed and done. And well, Dan, that's the end of the show. We've made it.
Is.
We've made it on a little bit of a positive more news. We talked about the FA Cup. It's which we just glossed over really, the elephant in the room, but we got there in the end.
Yeah.
Will you be joining me next week for next week's show? Well, we'll probably be talking about Ipswich Town against Burton and previewing Peterborough at home in the Premier League. That'll be back in action. And whatever else is in the football news. He's made some January transfers.
Let's hope so. Let's hope there's more transfers than there has been. 'Cause there hasn't been that much, has there?
No, it's been a bit quiet. It's been a bit like I sort of keep going. Is there actually a window open?
Yeah, I know.
A little bit weird, but well, if you want to follow us on any of our social medias, it's pretty simple. Twitter at Pitchside Talk, Instagram Talk_pitch, YouTube and both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of the shows, or even this one, this will be up in a few minutes. Fridays at 6 p.m. If you missed anything, we're talking about Ipswich Town, FA Cup, and the FA Cup 4th and 5th round fixtures. So before we go, I better mention what's coming up after us. So we've got the Gap Year show 6 till 7, the Review show 7 till 9, and Flip the Switch 9 until 10. So I've been George. He's been Dan as always. We'll see you next week, and ciao.
So yeah.
The whistle has been blown for full time. Tune in next week for another jam-packed show.